It was February 16th, 2024, and I was feeling seriously frustrated and angry after another Swedish lesson went out. It felt like deja vu, the same old story of struggling and getting nowhere. I couldn't believe that I was falling behind again in a language class. That night, I watched a documentary called Project Iceman. It followed this guy, Anders Hoffman, who took on an Ironman in Antarctica. That meant that he swam for 3.8 kilometers in 3-degree waters, got close to freezing himself, biked for 180 kilometers, and then ran for 42.2 kilometers in snow on the coldest continent. Everyone was telling him that it was impossible, but he went ahead anyway. And guess what he said when he finished? Limitations are just perceptions. What he said really made me think. I asked myself what my project Iceman would be. What seems impossible, yet I truly desire to do? The answer: to learn 10 languages in 12 months. And that's exactly what I embarked on. To learn 10 languages intensively was not easy. I did some planning. I woke up at 5 every morning to fit 2 hours before work. I fit different tasks into my daily routine and kept adjusting it. It felt hard, and I was worried that I was failing this project most of the time. However, I started hearing lots of positive voices around me about my ability and my strengths. You might think that I'd feel happy and proud receiving so many positive comments, but that was not how I felt at all. I was actually confused. Specifically, my friends were talking about my superpower. Superpower? What were they even talking about? I just felt that the compliments I got did not describe me at all. I mean, look at this. What you know about language learning blows my mind. Well, I find myself pretty ignorant about language learning. It's important to repeat high-frequency words strategically so that they get into your long-term memory. But isn't that just common sense? You're great at creating learning systems. Well, isn't it like basic skill that everyone knows how to create plans and systems, right? What shocks me the most is this one. You're a person that goes for big. How come this is big? But look at my size. I'm simply going for something normal-sized. It just felt that there's a huge gap between my self-perception and how other people saw me. It made me wonder, if they all see these qualities, maybe there's a slight chance that all of them haven't gone completely crazy. Too curious to let this go, I started to harass the psychologists around me and geek out on relevant research. These are what I found. Self-criticism patterns. Research shows that women engage in self-criticism at nearly twice the rate of men, often focusing on perceived shortcomings rather than strengths. Impression management. Women are more likely to downplay their achievements in social settings to avoid appearing arrogant, whereas men are more inclined to highlight their accomplishments. If research indicates that me, as a woman, tend to downplay my achievements and that perceive shortcomings rather than strengths, does that mean that what my friends said could actually be true? Am I the only one that is blind to these pretty awesome qualities I have? Or shall I say, I refuse to see them. I know this happens to more women, more people than me, and especially women. But why? Avoid appearing arrogant. That's me. I've got to find the root of what caused me to think that way. And I remember something. It's middle school, 3rd year. I'm feeling pretty proud of myself, especially in class where I'm starting to stand out. And my writing? Well, let's just say I'm on fire. It's not rare that I'm called the best writer in class. Now, Mr. Lee, he is the real deal. Not only does he help us unlock our potential, but he is also this wizard to show parents how hard we've been working. So when the big parents meeting comes around, I'm not sweating it. I know I've been putting in the effort. The room's packed with parents. Lots of kids invite both of them. And Mr. Lee's got his chart ready to go. You all know how awesome a Chinese math teacher's number presentation could be, right? Well, the lines in my chart, they're shooting up like crazy. Mr. Lee saved the best part for the end. He handed down a letter to each parent. The letters were written by each student to tell their parents how they feel about their study, their determination, and what they want to show to their parents. Pouring my heart out in this letter, I'm thinking, that's gonna be over the moon. Each parent reads the letter. Some start to giggle, some start to sob, and some start to hug their kids. My dad, sitting beside me, reads it with no reaction. Then Mr. Lee announces to the room, if you're proud of what your kid wrote, hand the letter back to me, and I'll read it in front of the whole class. I'd made huge progress this year, from bottom to hitting one of the top students. Of course, Dad is proud of me. I'm picturing the thrill of having my letter read to the whole class, especially after being called the best writer in class. What a dream. Suddenly, parents nearly fight to return the letters to Mr. Lee, and lots of seats empty out. Gradually, more parents join in, leaving fewer and fewer sitting parents. But my dad stays put, seeming unwilling to move. Every moment with him beside me feels like a torture. The longer he sits beside me, the more confused I get. Every second, there's a voice yelling in my head. I wish to say, Dad, go up, give the letter back. As you've probably guessed, my dad, along with a couple of other parents, have decided they're not proud enough to return the letter. After that, I can't hear anything but the buzzing in my ear. I just can't process what just happened. After walking out from the meeting, my dad says, nothing. I'm left with so much sadness inside, and I don't know how to show it. Not knowing how to express my disappointment, I make a joke about the letter, asking why he didn't give it back to Mr. Lee. My dad says one thing, and he said it without hesitation. Kid, you are overly proud. My father's words echoed in my mind for years. It was as if he had flipped a switch, turning off any sense of pride I felt in my accomplishment. From that day onward, I became hyper-aware of not appearing too confident, not wanting to risk being seen as arrogant. But here's the kicker. This mentality stuck with me far longer than it should have. I internalized it so deeply that I often overlooked my own achievements and downplayed my abilities. This pattern of self-doubt and humility became second nature, which led me to ignore my superpower. Knowing that Dad only wanted the best for me, and he was just being extra protective because I was his little girl. Continuing my 10 languages in 12-month project, I decided I needed to make a change. I would embrace my superpower rather than ignoring it. Why? Because it's not just about me boosting my own confidence. It was about understanding how these strengths could bring values to others. When I finally accepted that I had valuable skills and knowledge, I began to see how I could use my superpower to help others achieve their goals. The next question was, who else is ignoring their superpower? It took me less than a second to have the answer. My students. As a Mandarin fluency coach, I work closely with a bunch of overachievers who have high self-demands in their Chinese learning journey. What I hear every day is, I'll never become fluent in Chinese. I'm so frustrated at myself and overwhelmed by how difficult Chinese is. What's wrong with me? Why am I not progressing more? Except for this time, instead of shying away from helping my student, I'm taking every opportunity to help shift their mindset. It's taken me decades to realize I had superpower, and I'm not going to let my students repeat this mistake. Whenever I catch them blaming themselves, I sit down and I talk to them to help them realize that they've got all the power within themselves. Every time they talk themselves down, I become that insistent voice that nudges them to change their perspectives and find things that they could be proud of. Whenever they focus on how far away they are from their ultimate goal, I help them see how far they've come along and what it says about themselves. At first, they feel weird that I'm acting like a mindset coach rather than a Chinese teacher. I got a few students asking me, Zhifei, are you adding therapy sessions in our course? But the more I coach their mindsets, the more they see their superpower and the more amazed they are with themselves, which leads them to getting better learning results. I can never forget the smiles or tears on their faces when they see how powerful they actually are. In the US, every 10 college students choose to learn Chinese, 7 drop out before completing their program. I'm glad my students are empowered to move forward with their Chinese, showing that these statistics don't have to be the norm. Being able to help my students see their superpower has been the biggest reward of mine. Funny enough, I don't need to learn 10 languages in 12 months to own my superpower. Acknowledging my superpower is simply a choice. So I challenge you. The next time you feel like a failure or you feel that you're not smart enough for whatever you're doing, ask yourself, what is your superpower that you're overlooking? Thank you.